Hey, what's up everybody? Viking here today, and I have an updated profile and a discussion on my Blackwings and what I think rogue and budget decks can do against the format, and how these new top tier decks, the Satellanites, the Shadows, and the Burning Abyss, how those work and how you can play around them, and just, how to play smarter in general. So I'm going to jump into the deck profile, and I am going to apologize for my last deck profile that I did for this one, in preparation for the new format Blackwing deck that I did, because I kind of butchered it and just I did things wrong, and I apologize. So I'm hoping I can redeem myself with this one, and let's get started. I have 3 Shura, 3 Bora, 3 Kalut, 2 Blizzard, 2 Kochi. I may take one out for a Steam Cloak, but I'm not sure yet. 1 Zephyros, 1 Gale, and 1 Sirocco. That rounds off the monsters. For spells, I have 3 whirlwind, 3 pot of duality, 2 MST because back row is starting to become a really big thing right now. Burning Abyss and Satellanites run basically 30 back row and 10 monsters. So running 2 MSTs just really helps get rid of it. And then 2 lances also to help protect your plays, obviously. A bottomless is always sad when they hit your shura. Moving on to traps, I have 2 Icarus attack, 3 deep prisons, 2 breakthroughs, 2 vanitys, 2 trap stuns. I don't have wiretaps right now, or else I'd run wiretap. But trap stuns, just a generally good card. So against especially decks with a lot of back row, trap stun is really handy. And then for one-ofs, I have Delta Crow. It's like a Harpy's Feather Duster for Blackwings, just amazing right now. 1 Compulse, 1 Bottomless, 1 Solemn, basic one-ofs. And then for extra deck, I have the 1 catasor, 1 armaedes, 1 psyhemuth, Armed Wing, Armor Master, Black Rose, Crimson Blader, Spark Dragon, beelze, Abyss Dweller, Heartland Draco, Zerofyne, cairngorgon, number 101, and Master Key Beetle. That rounds off the deck, you guys. I'm going to move into the discussion now, and I hope that, this deck is a lot better than the last one. I mean, it obviously should be. But, yeah, so moving on to the discussion, I want to talk about the new decks first, Satellite, Shadows, Burning Abyss, kind of how they work. Starting with Burning Abyss, since it's the top deck right now for TCG anyways. It's obviously the one dominating everything. Especially out here in my locals, everybody's running Burning Abyss. Like, a lot of people are starting to build it, and it's just such a good deck, and it's so hard to beat. But it is beatable, and you just have to try to outplay them. And it is hard, but it is possible. Now, the way both Burning Abyss and Shadows work is if their monsters are sent to grave, they get effects to add more to hand or to special summon other ones. So, you have to run cards that don't destroy us in the grave, but rather than remove from play. So obviously Deep Prison is one, Deep Fisher would be another one, Black Sonic is another one. This is a card that I really want to run in the deck. I'm siding it right now because I have really tight deck space, but I might try to find space for this, and I might mean it, but we don't know yet. But, yeah, so just things that can remove them from play, or even bounce them back to hand. Just get them off the field without sending them to grave. Because for Burning Abyss and Shadows, that means them plussing. So that means cards like Torrential Tribute, and Dark Hole, and Mirror Force are all big no-nos. These, you don't run these now. You can side them if you want, because there are still decks that these can hurt. But it's just for these top tier decks, I don't recommend running them. They don't help quite as much as something else would. And it's just, I'd rather not have my opponent plus off of me trying to stop their plays. I don't know about you guys, but yeah. Now, moving on to, other traps that you can run that really hurt the format. All these new decks, just cards that obviously shut them down. And, first, Deep Prison, it removes from play, it doesn't destroy. And so they don't get their effects, and it's just, it's generally better than Mirror Force in that sense right now, so that's why Deep Prison is good. The one breakthrough skill, or the two I should say, because I run two, but running breakthrough skill over Fiendish Chain is because breakthrough skills doesn't stay on field, so they say they have a Dante on field, and you Fiendish Chain them. Well, they're not too sad, because they can Astral Force into Pallades, and now you have a dead Fiendish on field, and they can just start hurting you. Whereas with breakthrough skill, if you breakthrough skill their Dante, and then they Astral Force into Pallades, you can use breakthrough skill on your turn, remove it from play, stop Pallades' effects for that turn, and then just start summoning stuff so that you can beat down Pallades and whatever else. So that's kind of why breakthrough skill is better, is just sort for plays like that where people are obviously going to summon something to get around your Fiendish Chain. And yeah, both of these are pretty easy cards to get a hold of. Most everybody has them, so even if you are a budget player, these aren't too bad to get. I mean, Deep Prison's like $4 for a common, breakthrough skill is 5 or 6 for a common, so they're not too expensive, and a lot of people have them. I'm sure somebody will help you out somewhere. So there's those. And then Vanity's Emptiness. This is obviously a card that's super hard to get because it is a short print, so it's not going to be something that you're easily going to get a hold of. But there's hype that it's getting reprinted in the 5D's Legendary Collection. So if you wait until then and see how that turns out, there's a really good chance that this gets reprinted. So, yeah, but the reason why is because this shuts down every deck. I mean, Light Sworns, Burning Abyss, Shadow, Stella Knights, just all of that stuff, because they all special summon and they do it a lot. So if you have a deck that this won't hurt terribly, say like Fire Fists or even Evil Swarms, this is such an amazing card. I mean, against the Tellarknights and Burning Abyss and Shadows, you activate this standby phase, they no longer do plays, or you do it enchain to an effect or enchain to like their Shadow Fusion, they no longer get their summon. And it's just amazing. And then, obviously with Key Beetle for something like Blackwings or Evil Swarms, you lock down your Vanities and it stops them from being able to use anything. So Vanities is just super good for the format if you have a deck that can run it. Now, I'm talking about these decks, and obviously these few cards that can help you beat them. I'm going to help you understand a way to play smarter, so you can play around your opponent and make them exhaust resources before you exhaust resources. Now, say it's kind of mid-game, and you have your hand set up, and you have your field set up, or, one or the other, and you draw into a pot of duality. Well, you don't need this duality right now. It's not going to really help you, because you have what you need. It's something that's just not needed right now. So you think about it, and you're like, well, I guess I'll just hold on to this. Well, you don't want to just hold on to this. What I do is, if I draw an extra duality and I don't need it, I set the duality with my other back row, so that if they have an MST or they have that monster effect that pops back row and they hit your duality, you're golden. I mean, they hit this, oh, that's amazing. You just hit a dead card. Now you enter battle phase, I activate Black Sonic, I get rid of all your monsters. It's just a super smart play to do, because your opponent, they're obviously trying to go in and get rid of your back row, but they run into this duality, they're going to think, what's his other one then? And you activate that one thing that's going to hurt them. I mean, I think that it's a really good, strong play, and I really think that people should start thinking about how that can work. Another thing, especially for decks that run Master Key Beetle, such as Eel Swarms and Blackwings, is, say you go for the Master Key Beetle play, and you don't have Vanity's Emptiness set, because that's usually what you do, is you go Master Key Beetle Vanities, protect your set Vanities, and then activate it so that your opponent can't do anything, and Key Beetle will just sit there and protect Vanities. Well, instead of doing that, say you have a Solemn Warning set, play the Mind Game, and detach Key Beetle and protect your Solemn Warning, and make your opponent think it's a Vanities, because then they're going to try to play around Vanities, and think, okay, well, say you have another back row set, they're going to think, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of his Key Beetle, say, using Compulse. Okay, that's fine. Now, when I go to make my play, I'm thinking he's going to activate Vanity's Emptiness. Well, it's not Vanity's Emptiness. And so when he activates Vanity's Emptiness, I'm going to MST his other back row so that Vanity's Emptiness goes away too. Well, say he does that, and he goes for his play, and you just solemn warning this monster that he's going to make. Say it's a Delteros, or they use Shadow Fusion. You solemn warning their Shadow Fusion. Well, they weren't expecting this, they were expecting Vanitys. And now they're going to be really upset because you ruined what their thoughts were on what their play was, so you ruined the play that they planned out to play around a card. And that's definitely something that you want to try to think about, is just small plays like that that can really just, okay, well, I think it's going to be that card, so I'm going to try to play around it. Instead, you have this card, and they weren't expecting it. Say they have a clear board, other than back row, say they have like 2 back row, and you're like, okay, well, I want to get some damage in, because they don't have much life points left, and if I hit them once with this and then go cowboy or something next turn, I can win. Well, if you go Maystroke's pretty good, but he doesn't have as much damage. Instead, summon your number 101 Honor Arc. They may not have monsters for you to take, but that's fine. He's a 2100 beater that can save itself. So say you go on Honor Arc, they're going to be like, bottomless, okay, detach, that was useless. You know, that's obviously fine. So now you have a 21 beater to beat him down with that can save itself. So making a play like that with Honor Arc, especially have multiples, is really, really smart play, because it's a 21 beater and you can just sit there and beat him down with it until you can obviously win. But, yeah, so just making really, really small plays that kind of make your opponent think, I think he has this, and so I'm going to get rid of it, but instead you have something else, and it stops what they thought you were going to do. I mean, that's just, it's a mind game that you play with your opponent, and it's a really good way of thinking, do I really need this right now? If not, maybe I'll set it, or I'll use it to bait out that back row. I mean, just thinking plays through like that is a really smart way to do things, and is really helpful, especially for exhausting your opponent's resources. So I want people to kind of start thinking about that, and I want you to know that for rogue decks and budget decks, as long as you tech them outright and you play smart, you do have a hope of beating, these tier 1 decks, these Burning Abyss, these Shadows, these Satellar Knights. You do have hope. You just have to play a really good mind game. You have to really think about how your opponent's going to play around something. You have to think, what this play will mean to them when they have an answer next turn. I mean, you have to think a couple steps ahead of yourself and just, plan ahead of what can happen. So, I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the comment box. I love answering questions to the best of my ability, obviously, and I love taking in advice and criticism. So please, let me know what you think. And yeah, so thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you later.